This is Danny from Baltimore, Maryland, representing one of the 6 Wolves fans in Baltimore. You're listening to DU Football Show.
That's a dig.
You're wrong, and
That's a dig.
you're an absolute wrong. And
I'm sure Danny was gallivanting. No, probably sitting alone in the dark with a bottle of something, doing his bit, but just not in the fun way. Not
no,
fun way at all.
fetal position.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Sam Houston. Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Smoke of the Lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Grammy. Sam Graham.
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by 2 common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me, my co-host, as we were never in doubt, ever in doubt, Mr. Samuel Graham. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. How are you today? Everything good?
Yeah, doing good. We're talking across the interwebs, midweek games. We are not in studio because Graham does have a family, and we are managed to get him one night a week, and we don't want to fuck with that mojo.
No, we don't.
And, of course, on the ones and twos, producer Mel. How we doing tonight, producer Mel?
I'm doing the smoothest fade out that I possibly can.
You know what was?
And I fucked it at the end there.
Well, you know what was the smoothest fade out was on injury time when I was working the board on Monday.
When was that?
On Monday.
I don't remember Monday.
We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out wherever you get podcasts. And, of course, streaming live every single Monday night. We are not streaming tonight just because logistics. Give us a fucking break. But should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. It's at DU Football Show on all the social media, of course, and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email.
Lovely. Getting people to send us people are already sending us messages on Blue Sky, and got a few messages as well on Twitter too. One that's going to be used when we do the EFL show next week. There was
nice.
But we're doing 3 shows tonight, not 4. Fuck off. We already did 4 earlier in this week, so a man can only do so much, Mr. Graham.
Correct. Absolutely.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Since we are in separate places tonight, Mr. Graham, we are drinking separate whiskeys. Why don't you go first?
Sure. So I have the Boondocks straight bourbon whiskey. This one clocks in at 43% by volume or 86 proof. And it is just smack you in the face bourbon. It's just good, regular bourbon. Blend between 4 and 6-year-old whiskeys. Excuse me. It is just good bourbon. I mean, it's no holds bar. It's no frills or bells or whistles. It's just bourbon, and I like it.
I figure also probably an affordable price point as well.
Very affordable price point. You're looking between $39.99 and $44.99 on the shelf. I think.
Yeah, there you go. Something you can drink on the rocks. If you throw a little on it, you're not going to be offended. You'll be okay. You know,
exactly.
Sounds kind of perfect. Myself, because the DU Public House Studios is where all of the top 20 gets housed. I am going back to a couple of years ago. The number 1 whiskey, Jack Daniel's Bonded, because it's starting to get towards the bottom. Figure it's time to go ahead and put this one to bed. You know,
the old bottle kill. Yep.
Well, that's the way when Graham and I talk about bottle kills, what that means is we have an excessive amount of whiskey, and when we start to see a bunch of bottles that are about a third to a quarter way left, and that's it. Those tend to get pulled out. And when we have friends around and stuff like that, we're like, these need to go away. We ain't cracking open anything new. We are going to make this shit go away. We're also not going to go out and buy a bunch of new shit because, well, I got a really expensive top 20 list to fucking work on.
Exactly right.
It has pretty much become the only thing we buy, except for you when you're able to get the opportunity to mess around with a few of the Buffalo Trace stuff because of representation. So that works out well. But Jack Bonded took number one. It's a 700 ml instead of being a 750 because it was a overall international release, and also around the COVID time, and bottles were fucking scarce, especially 750 bottles because the rest of the world works off of 700s.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if you started to see a lot of special release come in 700s. Yeah. So they only have to do one bottling.
It makes sense. I have seen that a few times. I've definitely seen that a few times. I've also seen it a few times with some Scottish whiskeys where they just haven't bothered doing a 750 for the United States. Which, fair on them, you know. It's like we're going to be so arrogant as to not accept the metric system, or as Mel pointed out, the fruit planets, and as Taylor got so excited about, the apple Uranus. The thing that it's not necessary to always kowtow to us just because we do it slightly differently than everybody. Having a 700 in a liter would be perfectly fine. You know, liters are cost effective.
I mean, you're literally missing out on a mini.
Yeah.
An airplane bottle. You're missing out on a mini. It's not a big deal.
I will say I don't feel it deserved number one. I thought there were a couple of better whiskeys that year, but it's good. It's very good. The year prior, Jack Daniel's had a 10-year-old that made the list and was like number 8, and I think the 10-year-old blows this out of the water.
Yeah.
But I also get what they were doing with this, right? So,
for sure.
With this, it was highlighting Jack Daniel's doing an elevated version with a bonded. Remember, bonded is kind of a government seal. It means it's a minimum of 4 years, and it means it's a
100 proof on the nose.
And it's also barreled during a certain cycle period as well. So it's just government oversight, right? So it's like, think of it as USDA prime versus USDA choice, which I know we've said before. But it's decent. I don't think it deserved number one. I thought that Redbreast Kentucky Oak that came 2 was better. I'm not a huge fan of Barrel, but the Barrel that was number 3 I thought was better. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was number 4 because Dewar's 12 was number 3. I thought Dewar's 12 was better. And my former employer, Westward, was at number 5 that year, and I thought that was better than the Jack Daniel's. I mean, it deserved to be on the list. I don't think it deserved to be number 1. But
yeah, I agree with you.
It's a good bottle of whiskey. I don't regret buying it. I don't regret that we've had it, but it's not something I think I'd probably go back out and buy again.
Yeah, no, I understand that for sure.
All right, Mr. Graham, what else should we always do?
Always remember to drink responsibly, my friends.
Cheers over the internet, my good man.
Cheers, sir.
Very good. The lead at the top is starting to tighten up as the league leaders dropped points. Liverpool 3, Newcastle 3, Arsenal 2, Manchester United 0. Great fucking match. Liverpool Newcastle was just a flat out fantastic fucking match.
Yeah, I thought it was good as well. Newcastle actually put the pressure on early. I mean, what was it? 45 seconds in, Kelleher was forced into a save, or a minute and a half, or whatever it was, very early in the game. But Isak striked a wonderful ball. Little swivel. It was excellent. An excellent hit in the 34th minute. And that pressure that they kind of built right from the start, they kept up with. And Liverpool were a bit on the back foot. I mean, they had chances. Obviously they're got immense quality in their squad, and they had a chance here or there. Nick Pope did very well to keep out. I think it was Curtis Jones, maybe, relatively early on. But But yeah, Newcastle kept up, kept pressure, kept confidence, and it paid off immensely, as I said.
Here's the thing. The curious case of Newcastle and Eddie's Magpies kind of continues because in this match, even on shots for the most part, even on shots on target, even with possession, even in every category except for Liverpool committed a ton more fouls than Newcastle. Mm-hmm. Legitimately it. And 5 of the 6 goals were fucking fantastic.
Yeah, they absolutely were.
They weren't okay goals. They were fucking beautiful. Like each one of them could have been their own individual highlight goal of the game. And even the 6th one, while there was a mistake made by Kelleher, it was still a fantastic fucking close on the back post and a great finish. So
yeah, it was. Really,
you could say 5.5 fantastic goals for the 6-goal match.
Absolutely. Curtis Jones did end up getting his equalizing on the 50th, as you said. And then Anthony Gordon with a lovely finish. Lovely finish that on 62.
And then
Salah
started doing Mo things.
Yeah, Salah responded on the 68th to tie it up 2-2. What the fuck is going on here? Like, this is crazy, right? And Newcastle at home, especially, you think of being a touch turgid, being a touch physical, and slow it down, especially against teams that they inherently know are better than them.
Oh yeah,
you know,
make it ugly, make it fucking ugly. That's what they did to you guys when they beat you 1-0. Is they made it fucking ugly.
And I thought about a Jacob Murphy chance there, that would just skim past the post. I mean, it was very, very close. Kelleher was well beaten. So both teams had very good chances. Both goalkeepers actually played well despite giving up 3 goals each. I was fairly impressed with both defenses, to be honest. The goals, as you said, were of immense quality.
That third Salah goal, that's one of those ones as Newcastle supporters, as
to put Liverpool to put Liverpool up 3-2.
Yeah, that goal, yes, that one. Like, you could just tell that's like one of those ones you go, fuck, this is the team that's going to win the league and we're fucked. And this is how we're going to lose. We play a near perfect game and we're going to lose to him spinning around in the box, having literally 6 inches of space, and he puts it in the back of the fucking net. Why? Because he's Mo Salah and he's that fucking good. Like, that's just what it is.
I'm loving the Mo Salah, Jerry Maguire one-man band tour that's going on right now.
Show me the money.
The show me the money, motherfucker. And then also, I don't think he wants to move to Saudi Arabia anymore. There was a lot of speculation that last summer that he was going to play this last year and go make, $70,000 million a year Saudi, moving while he still has something to offer, being essentially the face of Arab football. In general, but everything he's laying it on thick in the media post match.
Oh, he's continuing. That's interesting because he's normally one to himself, and I guess since he said it the one time, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it.
This is the 3rd time in a row, post match that he's said, like, yeah, I mean, there's been no contact. I'd love to hear from him. It'd be, we want to get something done. So I don't know if he's trying to initiate a bidding war for himself, but I think he sees himself above the Saudi Pro League. He wants to stay at Liverpool. He obviously loves the club. Yeah. He's nearing in, if he hasn't already passed it, as the record goal scorer. He's definitely the record foreign goal scorer in all competition. I think he's scored more.
Nearing Rush. He's very much nearing Rush. He's almost past him.
Passed him in the Champions League as well, / European Cup. I think he's already Liverpool's record goal scorer in that competition.
Right, just in the league, he's getting close to getting Rush.
So, honestly, I think he's getting close to Thierry Henry and Sergio Aguero, number 1 or number 2 of foreign goal scorers in the league. If he hasn't already passed at least Thierry Henry,
right?
Yeah, I think Aguero ended up with like 25 or so more than Henry did, who held the mantle for a long time. But
excuse me, Mr. Graham, when you're going to say his name, you need to say it the right way. Aguero!
One of the greatest moments of commentary that I've been alive for. It's absolutely fantastic.
You have to say it the right way.
It's so good. Martin Tyler. Just pull up, FIFA 2020 or 2014, and you'll hear some good Martin Tyler stuff.
Mr. Graham, why don't we go ahead and get to that final goal? I want you to kind of talk it through, and then I'll give you my thoughts as a former keeper. But please go ahead and talk about that final goal.
So it's a kind of weird turn of phrase, but we always talk about this corridor of uncertainty.
Yep.
This is the area of the pitch. It's about 13 yards from goal to about 7.5, 8 yards from goal.
Right.
And this little 5 to 6 yard stretch of green grass in the box is what makes the keeper go, "Oh, I got fuck." And
yeah.
they're uncertain as to whether or not they can get there. They doubt themselves. They're confident. They start running, then they stop running. And that is exactly where that ball was played.
Well,
I
think he got there. I think he didn't think he could hold on to it, is what I think. And that's why he didn't go over his head, because he didn't think there was anybody behind him. Problem was,
he was going to let it out.
Star was right fucking there.
But that's exactly right. He was going to let it out. So it wouldn't have landed, right on the penalty spot. But it floated over that area. I think it also kind of hung in the air a little bit. I don't think that was intentional to go that deep. I think it kind of hung in the air, and that fucked Kelleher also.
Yeah.
I think he thought, like, oh, shit, can I go for it? Well, there's probably no one there. I'll let it go.
I think it was he didn't want to knock it into play.
That's the other thing, too. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So I don't think there's anybody behind me. Let it go. And the only problem was
goal kick, no problem. But Fabian Schär made up a lot of ground, got there, obviously sliding at a very acute angle. Makes me wonder what Danny Ings was doing at the weekend when he was standing on 2 feet and couldn't find the back of the net from a similar angle, and he's a goddamn striker.
Mm-hmm.
Fabian Schär is a center back.
Fabian Schär is 3 words, Mr. Graham. Valuable fantasy points. That is exactly what he is. Somebody won because of Fabian Schär at the death, baby.
So it was a great goal all around. It was wonderful.
And here's the thing. That draw for Newcastle puts them currently in 12th place. And you're like, damn, bottom half of the table, even with a big point like that.
Yep.
Except for 12th to 5th is separated by 3 fucking points. It is that fucking tight right now.
Well, it is technically still early, even though we're about a third of the way through third of the way through the league. And the reason I say it still seems early is because we haven't hit the festive period yet. This is, we had 3 weeks of football and then a 2-week break, and then 6 weeks of football and then a 2-week break, and then a week and a half of football and then a 2-week break. And now this is our first midweek of the season, right? For the league itself. But this month, between cup commitments and league commitments, I think Liverpool had an opportunity to play 10 games in less than 30 days. So they're playing, if they advance in a league cup, that, assuming that they advance in whatever else, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? If they play the maximum amount of the games that they're able to play, they'd be playing 10 games in less than 30 days. And that's insane numbers. I mean, you're talking about 2.5 days between max.
Well, and they got to get rested up for when they're playing Aki in the FA Cup, because that is going to be an easy walk in the park.
Exactly right. But what I'm saying is you're running in. That's why we feel like it's still early. A third of the way through. But you run into this period, then all of a sudden you come out of it and we're 48% complete.
Right.
So it's like now we really know what the fuck's going on.
Exactly.
The at that point the kind of mysteries lie in who comes out of that period injured for the rest of the season, who is disgruntled because they didn't play and wants to move in January, what manager got fired makes other people want to leave. yeah, or whatever. Like those are the mysteries coming out of this time. But the league table itself is going to start to take stark shape because you turn around in January and you only have 2 or 3 league games at all.
Who didn't get a contract and is now maybe not motivated as much anymore to make sure Liverpool wins a title before they leave.
Exactly right.
Yep. Moving on, I gotta say, United didn't look bad, particularly in the first half. They looked quite good. But would it surprise you to hear, Mr. Graham, that apparently Arsenal likes to score set piece goals?
Yeah, I mean, we're the best. You said United played well. I don't know that I agree with that.
I felt the first half they didn't look bad. I think the second half was all you. I never felt like they were in it in the second half, but I felt the first. Oh well, other than the Raya save, which we'll get on to, but I felt the first half they showed something.
So in the first, I'm looking at the stats because I've been accused of talking shit. I've been accused of ridiculing. I've been accused of grandstanding. I've been accused of gaslighting. And any other terms you want to throw at an actual Nostradamus by, these peasants that are Manchester United supporters from Sunday to Tuesday.
You got the N word wrong. It's narcissist.
They had 52% possession, which probably made you feel like they had more of the opportunity, but they didn't. They only had 2 shots overall, none on target. And an expected goals of 0.005.
Mm.
Piss poor.
And an improvement from Ten Hag. Like,
it's true.
I mean,
but they still allowed us to have 3 shots and a big chance created, according to FOTMob.
Right. That's fair. It's just a smell test from what I watched of the game. It was, I never thought you guys were in trouble. But I also thought they at least made an account of themselves. It wasn't.
Yeah, I mean they put themselves about a bit. But I you must have tuned in from the 4th minute on, because just 3 minutes in, Onana started doing Onana things.
Yeah, he did.
He essentially passed the ball directly to Gabriel Martinelli, who gathered and found Kai Havertz. He passed the ball inward to either Odegaard or Rice. They found Havertz, who just happened to be offside, but a brilliant layoff. And Martinelli found the back of the net, and Onana was bailed out like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because Kai Havertz was about 3 yards offsides from when Onana possessed the ball in the 2 seconds prior to that sweet, sweet Arsenal move.
Yep.
But yeah, it's hard. What I'm going to say about United, and a huge, huge positive, I can't think of a better spend of £100 million. Anthony had a shot on target. You'd count that as a win. Fucking well done, boys.
Yeah.
But all in all, it was a professional match from Arsenal. We held serve when we needed to. We pushed when we needed to. We created loads and loads of chances. Overall, we had 14 shots and 6 on target to their 5 and 2. It was, and that's based on a 50-50 possession rating, according to FOTMob. So we controlled the game all in all. And I'm just glad I was vindicated from all the shit I was talking on Sunday, which is one of the first times this season I've been able to say that.
What a fucking save from David Raya.
That was a really good save.
That is one. Did you put your daughter in front of the TV and go, this is like, do you notice it's his fingers that he popped to knock the ball? It's not as he dove. He got himself extended as far as he could. He couldn't go any further, but his fingers popped that ball away. Like that is.
It takes every inch.
Brilliant.
And I did
brilliance.
I did send her the highlight package and said, you need to fast forward to this moment.
Yeah, you need that's what you do. That's how you do it. Like
that's what it's for.
That's you can judge a ball perfectly, but even it might still curve a little bit on you, and you need to make sure your whole body's kind of coiled so that when you need that little extra, you're able to get
You
it.
can get there. Exactly right.
Fucking Saliba backing that ass up into the goal. Fucking working for the goal.
I didn't know what to do because on the one angle from kind of behind the goal, 45 degree to where he was, it almost looks like it comes off his hip. So when it first went in, I was singing "Juvenile Back That Ass Up," but then I saw that replay and I had to switch to Shakira because it looks like it comes right off his hip. I'm not sure.
Don't lie. I was going to say,
don't lie. Exactly right.
Back that ass up. If we were still doing music at the end of injury time, that would be what we're going out. That would.
We would be going out on a Mel improv mashup of the two of those.
Mel's got that in her repertoire. She can make that
wiki DJ Squirrel.
Yep.
DJ Save a Raccoon over there.
Better than DJ Mice Kill.
Mice Kill's good. I might change my name to that, actually. My real name.
You're getting it wrong, Sam. It would be DJ Basic.
Yeah. DJ Infinity Scarf. DJ Pumpkin Spice.
135. Can't even. That's what it would be.
Love it.
Now here's also, I did enjoy the end of your match. Not Sweet Caroline. They played tequila so everybody could do Saliba.
Love it. Yeah.
Pretty fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's good.
Is this the slip that the Gunners, Chelsea, and City need?
Yeah, of course it is. Because what it does is it piles the pressure on, right?
Mm-hmm.
The longer this Mo Salah contract issue persists, the longer, the more distraction exists. Now I'm a fucking Dr. Sam over here. Wow. Fucking, whoa. Fuck the police and all that.
And by the way, not for nothing, their next match, the Merseyside Derby.
Ooh.
The bottom of the table had 3 key matchups, and the winners of those matches all have a little bit of separation now between them and the bottom of the table. Crystal Palace 1, Ipswich 0, Leicester 3, West Ham 1, Everton 4, Wolverhampton 0.
Everton 2, Craig Dawson 2.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get into that one. Let's talk about the other 2 games first. Not pretty, but it was effective from Palace, and frankly, it hasn't been all wins, but they're only 1 loss in 5. They're starting to put it together.
Yeah, absolutely, they're getting points on the board. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mateta with a fine goal. I mean, there's nothing wrong. It wasn't spectacular. It was fine.
Mateta, given to him from Eze. That's exactly what you want to see. Decore's back on the pitch. The defenders are starting to get healthy. Like, Henderson isn't making any big mistakes. Like, this is exactly what you want to see if you're a Palace supporter. It's all starting to come together.
Well, especially the manner of it overall. I mean, if you isolate the first 20, 25 minutes, it was dog shit from both teams. It was absolutely fucking terrible. It was a horrible game. Hated every second of it. Wanted to claw my eyes out. But by the end of the half, there was some actual action. There was some actual back and forth. And then Palace started to turn a screw, right? I mean, they pretty much dominated proceedings from about the restart on.
If you're going to be critical of Palace, the criticism would be this should have been 2-0 done and dusted. You should have put this to bed.
You should have put the game away.
You don't want it to stick around because I know we make the constant comparison and it's not fair to make the comparison, but we're going to do it, is Luton to Ipswich. And if this was Luton last year, Luton would have gotten the draw. Luton would have found a way right at the death and would have killed you, which is funny because that was completely Ipswich's MO in the championship last season. They got so many points from losing positions, and it was wins from losing positions that they got, and they got it 85 minutes and later.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was going to say in terms of getting it done and dusted, and Palace should have been taking care of this. They had 13 total shots.
Uh-huh.
Only put 3 on target, and big chances created was also 3.
Right.
They had more shots on target, more chances created, and they just couldn't capitalize, just couldn't finish. And that, as you say again, with Luton being the prime example last season, that could come to bite them in the ass. Palace aren't a bad team. We haven't ever said that they were a bad team. We're worried that some players that have moved on may have left a gap too big to fill. But if everybody's on song from the 6 up, they're forced to be reckoned with.
It's a team that both of us preseason on paper were like, this team could challenge for a fucking European spot.
For a McRib.
Even with losing Elise, they picked up some decent pieces, and you're like,
Ismail Sarr from Watford was he at?
Sarr, Nketiah, the kid from Germany, the Japanese player that they picked up that got the red recently. Like, they've picked up some fucking pieces, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like they're
just not taking advantage of it. They're just not pressing on. And I don't know that Glasner knows how to use Nketiah, for instance.
That's fair.
Because this season he does not necessarily thrive in a 2, but Glasner obviously doesn't trust him by his lonesome. So he's in this weird, kind of laid off position from Mateta.
Yeah, he's playing a 2 as a behind Mateta, which seems
right. It's very
not to play into what he is good at.
It's very, very strange. I feel like of everybody of our second string that left this summer, he picked the wrong Southwest London club.
It's funny because I think if you just used him as a backup, because he is Mateta. It's the same thing as Everton with Calvert-Lewin and Beto. They're essentially the same player. Play the hot hand. Put the pressure on, right? Like if Mateta's scoring goals,
we're gonna come on to Fulham. Muniz started today.
Yeah. Have two. 2 of the same guy.
Exactly right.
Out.
Marco Silva has kind of rotated 2 of them this season. I mean, he has a clear number 1 in Jimenez, but he has rotated from time to time. And what the key to that is, he does offer a little bit different. He's a little faster. He's a little younger. He offers something a touch different, but in general, the game plan, the tactics, the shape of the team doesn't change.
Yeah. All right. Now, I think we kind of already covered it, but it's worth just saying one more time. It feels like Ipswich is slipping, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to get out of it. I think there'll be a tough out for people. I think they're going to be a fun watch. I don't think they have what it takes to stay up, but they got some pieces that they're going to sell and make a lot of money for, and they're going to go back to the championship and be A-OK.
And have a fair chance of coming straight back up, to be honest.
Yeah.
If I could see them doing some pretty canny loan business in January.
Makes sense. Yeah.
In an attempt to stay up. I think people like Kieran McKenna. I think people like the project.
Yeah, McKenna's going nowhere. McKenna, unless he gets another job in the summer, they are not getting rid of McKenna if they go down. He is their coach for this season the entire time.
I think they also what is a draw? We've never been to Ipswich, the 2 of us.
Right.
But that sort of area is kind of, I guess you'd say, similar to Baltimore in a sense that it's probably England's smallest big city.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
it's everybody knows everybody. You can get across town in 20 minutes. You're not paying the prices you're paying in DC for everything. It's, what I mean? It's kind of the little brother big city, if that makes sense.
On a geographic level, I would debate that. I would say that, just thinking of how the map works, DC is London, Baltimore is Newcastle, Sunderland up there,
That far.
Norwich, Ipswich,
Annapolis.
Eastern Shore.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's farmland, right? It's mostly
Well, yeah.
it's the old farm Derby, you know?
But they are a city. They have a cathedral. They got city status based on the old law. Okay,
it's Salisbury then. Okay, Easton.
Yeah, all right. It's Easton. Okay, fair enough.
We are going hyper fucking local. Let's keep it.
But no, what I'm saying is that Kieran McKenna, I think, is a draw to players there. I think the project is a draw to players. So if you have somebody that is on a mid-level, kind of high mid-level team that's not playing, that thinks they should be doing better, whose manager says, or maybe they're young, go get some experience, that could inject some life into this team, maybe get them over the line to staying up. A loan deal in January is maybe an ideal situation. And of the 3 promoted clubs, I think Ipswich is in the best position to sign those players and make a push. That's what I would
agree with that.
That was the actual point.
Very good.
Before we got sidetracked into fucking Maryland Avenue.
Maryland geography. Yeah. The new manager bump in full effect. Ruud van Nistelrooy gets the win. And I got to say, having Daka back for them is fucking massive, because then you don't have to make Vardy play 90 minutes every
day. Yeah.
And you can give him a break and let Daka start, and Daka getting a goal is fucking massive.
It's huge. I mean, he obviously was on loan for a bit. He was injured for a bit. There was a lot of things going on with Patson Daka. It's good to see him play. Good to see him scoring.
Yep.
Obviously, he gave us that wonderful 4-goal performance where he burst onto the scene a couple of years ago that we, lives long in the memory. But there still is room for the old dogs. Okay, and that was very early on a vintage Jamie Vardy run. And kind of
excuse me, Mr. Graham, I insist you call him by his Christian name.
Jamie fucking Vardy, man.
Thank you very much.
And that's what he looked like here. Great finish. But that seemed to wake West Ham up, actually. It seemed to kind of piss him off. And usually Vardy does those kind of things and the opposition deflates because he then takes the piss out of you. I think his celebration spurred West Ham on.
Yeah.
Because it's some weird bird thing. Birds aren't associated with either team. It was a very watered down, weird version of what he did at Crystal Palace, which was brilliant because they're the Eagles. He did this weird thing. Instead of making a hammer motion or doing the crossed irons or whatever, he didn't properly take the piss. And I think West Ham took offense to that and actually played pretty well for a change.
Mr. Graham, you need to understand, don't question the manner in which he goes about doing it. You want him talking shit. You need him talking shit.
Oh, always.
Say thank you and go on about your way.
Absolutely.
Just the irons are starting to get healthy, right? And also they get
off suspension. Yeah.
Kudos back from his brawl at the mall where he fucking decided, I'm getting all the red cards because one is not enough.
I'm punching everyone in the face.
If I'm going out, I'm going down swinging, bitches.
Oh yeah.
But you get him back, and you get Fulham back from injury as well when he scores a goal, which is big. But it almost feels like, and remember, I still have the opinion I have that you need to keep Lopetegui. If this is what you've decided you're going to be, fucking be it. Don't go back to doing what you've done now for fucking 8 years, right? Do some aggressive shit. And then when it doesn't work exactly the way you want it to, fire him and go get the goddamn Sam Allardyce, David Moyes of the world. But it feels like it's too late for Lopetegui, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Big time. And I'm going to disagree with you there. Because if West Ham want to kick on, a parachute payment season and stymied television rights money is not going to spur them on to fuck all. They need to stay in the Premier League if they want to push on. if they want to try to take the next step. They've got a couple of European years under their belts. They obviously won a trophy. They got a lot of money from that. They spent it on decent European version of Mikel Antonio, who then promptly got injured and hasn't really done much. He obviously scored in this game in stoppage time. Good to see that. Maybe he can push on. That would be helpful. But they haven't really done anything in the transfer market of note in 2.5 years.
Right.
Really, 2 years. Despite being flush with all this European cash. If you're not going to have a manager that you're going to stick with, if you're going to jump, and it looks like Lopetegui's still got the dressing room. I mean, they're trying. The numbers say that they're trying. Maybe they're just not very good. Maybe his system just isn't taking kind of effect, in their minds. Maybe they don't understand it. But something has to be done, because if they get relegated, which they are too talented to get relegated, they are too good to get relegated. But the way that they look, the eye test, the smell test, they're absolutely in a relegation battle.
Oh, yeah. I don't disagree.
If you don't think Lopetegui can keep you up, you need to stay in the fucking league.
Fair. Okay, that's a fair argument. I think that ultimately, and I've stood by this, is the 3 teams that come up. When I look at those 3 teams, I don't think any of those 3 teams are better than the other 14 that were here the year before. I mean, not 14. Sorry, 17 the year before. I just don't think they are. I just don't think they are. And
I don't think they are either, but they don't need to be.
I don't think they have the gumption to get themselves there. That's where we're like, I think we're going to start to see a trend of the teams that get promoted are the teams that go right the fuck back down. I'm starting to see this, unless a Premier League, one of the 17 completely implode, I'm not so sure that they're not going to survive. Like, now we're going to, in fact, let's go ahead and put a pin in that, because we can talk about that a little bit more on injury time. Should somebody want to find injury time, Mr. Graham, how do they go about doing it?
Oh, it's patreon.com/Steve Football Show. Very easy. Just sign up to that $5 tier. You get all of our extra content, including the foreshadowed injury time.
That's why your mom fought him, bitch. Well done, good sir. Well done. Moving on to that, we have Wolverhampton and Everton. Quite frankly, this match should have been 9-0. Or hell, it could have been 9-2 or 9-3, because Wolves had chances early, and
Wolves did have a couple of chances.
And Pickford was massive early. He made a couple of brilliant fucking saves.
Yeah, there was one right at the beginning, the first 80 seconds or so, that was absolutely fantastic. And then you reminded me of one later on, because I said that actually Wolves. I made the comment to you earlier when we did our pre show meeting. I said to you that Wolves went on that first attack and then went, fuck, it didn't work.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Retreated within themselves.
Yeah, shocking that the team with a very good offense just couldn't seem to get in the back of the net. But really, that Everton just dominated them the way that they dominated them, because honestly, let's kind of talk a little bit. First off, the Ashley Young goal was brilliant. He is now the oldest player to score from a set piece in the Premier League.
A direct free kick, yeah.
And did it. It was interesting because it wasn't the normal over the top, curve it into the near quarter. He literally just put it around the wall on the lower 90s. Like, I mean, it was no man's land.
Oh, it was Roberto Carlo-esque, except it was right-footed, which made it inherently less impressive than Roberto Carlos's goal, obviously. But it followed the same path to the outside of the wall, wide of the post, and then curled right back in. I know the keeper was unsighted, but watching who was stepping up to the ball, I think they probably could have done a bit better.
Yeah.
To be completely fair.
McNeil was next to him with the left foot, but it was very clear Young was taking the kick.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one setting the ball. He was the one right over top of it. You could tell he was the guy that was going to take the ball.
Exactly.
So it's going near post. Going near post. So why aren't you already cheating?
Exactly. But again, you know, there on one hand, it's another player rolling back the years. I know I've used that fucking line at least 3 times tonight so far, and we're only on the 3rd goddamn game or 4th game. But the other thing it is another very early goal that really set the stage for the rest of the match, right? I mean, it meant that you all could kind of play a little conservatively. Defensively, I think you're worse than they are good offensively.
Yeah.
So they should have been able to push on. Now, they did have 56% possession, but they didn't do a goddamn fucking thing with it, which was the surprising part to me, to be honest.
Everton got all their mistakes out against United. They got every single one of their mistakes out against United because, honestly,
there were a lot of them.
Branthwaite and Tarkowski were fucking fantastic
for United.
Well, yes. And then in this match, they were fantastic. And it's taking nothing away. Wolves have 2 red hot fucking players in scoring form right now up top. And if it's not the one scoring, he's the one assisting the other one scoring. Like,
right. How does it feel? How does it feel for you that you're probably going to lose this week because your boys performed so well and did a job on Jurgen Strand Larson? Excuse me. I'm not done.
Uh-huh.
You need his title, number 1 overall DU fantasy pick, Jurgen Strand Larson.
Hey, look, since Stay Humble, he's putting up better numbers than Holland because
I'm with it.
You know what they both did this week? 2. They got their 2 participation points. Here's what I wanted to get to is the rally of the other goals. Everton had a goal called back off a Tarkowski header, and it was called back because they said Mangala was in an offsides position and blocked his defender, Lamina. Okay. Tarkowski scored that header with 3 Wolves defenders around him to the point that they were all touching him, right? But apparently Lamina, the 4th guy, that's what would have made the difference. That's the difference maker. And then goals 3 and 4, by the rationale of the way the ref called that, those 2 goals should have been called off because there was interference from players. Like, the inconsistency, this ref did not have a good day at the office. And it's like, okay, if you set the parameters and it would have hurt my team. I openly admit it would have hurt my team. But if you set the parameters that first disallowed goal was disallowed because a player impeded on another defender so that the other player could score a goal, that is exactly what happened on goals 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And but it didn't apply there, but it applied here, and it shouldn't have applied the first time. Like, again, Everton should have won 9-0, which would have been one less time Wolves have lost 9-0 than Southampton has.
But you also can't win 9-0, or else the obvious cheating that got caught would be apparent in the other goals also. So you have to limit it to 4 so it's not so painfully obvious that y'all are a bunch of scouse cheats.
Very much so. Now, here's the thing. The 2 own goals in the second half. The first one I got a little bit of a problem with because just that weekend prior, Marcus Rashford against Everton hit a ball from outside the 18 that was on goal. It looked like it was going on goal, but it was redirected and hit by Branthwaite and went the opposite direction of Pickford. By law, as long as that shot's on goal, that is a goal for the player. The third goal Everton scored, Dominic Calvert-Lewin flat out hit the ball at goal. It hit off of Craig Dawson's hand and went in the net, and they made it an own goal against Dawson. Why isn't it a goal? Why isn't it a goal? I mean, it's exactly It is the exact rule of what you gave Rashford a goal for, and his goal was way more. If you were ever going to say an own goal, because Pickford was diving the correct way, maybe Pickford would have gotten to Rashford's ball, but Wade hit it and put it in the opposite direction. It just didn't make any sense to me.
I got you. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I think the Rashford chance obviously was scored correctly.
Right.
I think but this just harks back to what we say all the time. This is, instead of whataboutism, maybe people should try the approach of, hey, well done here. This is the same situation. Why'd you fuck this up?
Right.
Instead of going, well, what about that? If this is this, then that should be that. No, that was well done. You did your job. Here, you didn't do it. Why? Stop fucking up. Take a test. Redo your training. Stop doing cocaine. Stop whatever it is, but fucking get this one right instead. Also just get them right. It's not hard to do. Just do it.
Really doesn't ultimately matter. Everton make up the 4 goals that they lost against United. Goal differential is right back in their favor. Again, the only team with a better goal differential is West Ham, but everybody immediately around them is all got a worse goal differential than they do. And also, let's remember the important thing. Like Rick James said, cocaine, it's a hell of a drug. All right, let's keep this one short. Rounding out the rest of the league, and so that happened. Manchester United 3, Forest 0. Holy shit, Manchester City won. I said Man United, but I meant Man City. Chelsea 5, Southampton 1, Aston Villa 3, Brentford 1, Bournemouth 1, Tottenham 0, Fulham 3, Brighton 1. Kevin De Bruyne over Foden. Is it that simple? Is that literally all it took?
Possibly. I just shared a meme not a meme, but a screenshot into the DU Football Show closed group, Drunken United FC on Facebook. And it was a graphic that Sky Sports decided to put up that was comparing the numbers of Anthony
and Jack Grealish
and Phil Foden.
Oh, Phil Foden. No shit. Oh, no.
And the caption was, things get worse for Phil Foden. And I'll tell you what it says, and here it is. It says season comparison, and you can see Ian Wright there in the photo. I think it's Ian Wright. Nope, it's not Ian Wright. Looks a lot like Ian Wright, though, when zoomed out. Season comparison, Premier League 23-24 per game. Anthony, this is goals. Anthony 0, Foden 0. Big chances created. Anthony 3, 2. Pass accuracy, Anthony 79%, which for a top-level professional footballer is fucking garbage.
Garbage. Absolutely garbage.
68%. Shot accuracy, 12%.
Jeez.
Foden 10.2. XG created from your passes, crosses, shots. The expected goals, which no one knows how that's calculated. Anthony has a 0.86 and Foden has a 0.67.
The only difference is Anthony hasn't had a lot of minutes and Foden has been starting almost every fucking game.
Exactly. Now my comment on the entire thing, my caption was, damn, bro, best 100 million ever spent.
Because he's out doing Foden.
Yeah. But honestly, with City, this was a routine win. Something they needed.
They needed a routine win.
Just to know everybody just down the home stretch, nobody get hurt. Everybody get some confidence. Let's just get back to basics.
Move on to this weekend.
Exactly. And they needed that, and they did it. And Forest are on a low-key downturn after the way they started the season. We knew they were going to get humbled at some point. I just didn't realize it was all going to happen at once in about a 3-week span.
That was my question is, do we think this is the start of the slide for Forest? Because I still don't see.
I think they're in the middle of the slide.
I don't see them as a top 10 side. I still see
Not,
them on the bottom half of the table for me.
neither do I, but I think they are in the middle of the slide. I think they're fully aware that they are engulfed in the slide.
The good news for them, though, is with this, the start of the season has guaranteed that they won't be going down, which if they didn't start the season, they would have started the way they started the season. Right now, with this slide, you'd start to be talking about them in a relegation battle.
Oh, yeah, big time. You're absolutely right about that.
So the Saints equalize very quickly right after Chelsea goes up quickly. And you're like, okay, there's something. There's a little fight. And then Chelsea completely dominate. I believe Chelsea had damn near close to 30 shots and like fucking 15 of them on target. I mean, it might be 26-11. I think the exact number is, but they completely took over. Chelsea
100%.
And Chelsea just keeps doing what they're doing, which is it ain't just one person. They share the goals. Like
they're sharing everything around. Yeah,
like
they absolutely are. It was. I'll give you the exact stats. It was 26 total shots with 13 on target. To Southampton 6-4. I mean, it looks like chicken pox versus acne on the fucking shot map. It's at least a fair few of those chances. Again, were gifted by the Southampton goalkeeper or defense. First goal especially. And we're going to come on to the one that happened today in Fulham Brighton.
Right.
But this idea, you have to play out of the back. If you don't, you're going to get shot in the head. Just absurd. Especially when you have, and Ederson is an outlier, right? Allison is an outlier. David Raya is the way to being an outlier.
Pickford's decent with this distribution. He does make mistakes with his feet, but he's a good passer. Like
I'd say David Raya and Pickford are probably on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it's fair.
If Ederson or Allison
on the other two, that's a dig.
Ederson or Allison was going to pretend to strike a ball, stroif it, and then hit it with the wrong foot, and a defender was within 2 yards of them, I trust them more than I trust Raya or Pickford. Is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
So that they are outliers. Raya and Pickford are on the way to being outliers.
The greater point that I know you're getting to is Southampton does not need to be fucking doing this.
Stop doing it. Fucking stop doing it. I've witnessed in the last fucking 2 games 5 shots on target that you directly pass to them from your 6-yard box.
Yeah, you're like, here, take a shot.
Have at it. It's not fucking training. Stop doing it. You absolute cunts. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, performing the same action over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And Southampton are fucking insane.
And here's the funny thing is they ain't going to get rid of Russell Martin anytime soon because I guarantee you're about to see Wolves and West Ham fire their managers. So if you fire Martin, who the fuck you going to hire?
You're going to get Gag O'Neill back, I'll tell you that.
Like who the fuck?
He's going to tell you, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's just not going to work.
Potter doesn't want to go there.
Hell no, absolutely.
And they've got financial troubles. Again, they've got financial troubles. So they sacking the manager is just going to hurt them further.
So
it's compensation.
Keeping it going. Villa finally get a win. Ming starts. I think there's a coincidence there. I think there's something to be said about your old stalwart back in the team playing central defense.
100%. You're absolutely right about that. The other thing that you haven't mentioned is Brentford are shit away from home, and that's just how it is.
Well, that and Brentford love to fucking give up goals. They love to ship goals.
And if you look at Morgan Rogers, you look at Ollie Watkins, you look at John McGinn, even to an extent, Villa were very energetic all of a sudden out of nowhere. When you take the last 2-3 games, in comparison.
Sam, it was midweek. They thought it was a Champions League game.
Well, that's it.
That
has to be
right.
it. But I mean, there was fast feet, there was crisp passing, there was good runs.
Honestly, the score should have been higher.
Yeah, there was. It was an excellent performance for Villa. It's what we expect from Villa over the last 18 months to 2 years or so. You know, I think the Champions League has kind of hit them like a ton of bricks, and it's kind of scuppered their league form because they didn't want to get embarrassed. And fair dues. I mean, that's fine. Villa are never going to get relegated. They're never going to be in trouble of doing anything like that. You know, like David Moyes, the year he won that cup, went to 14th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're finishing 14th the next season. I think it's doing the same thing, but Villa are just better than West Ham. You know what I mean? So they're picking up more points. But
I think we overlook, and I think Mel would probably agree here. I think we overlook that Mings is a fucking captain. Mings,
he's a leader.
He's an important fucking part to that team. He's a very important part to that team. And you had Douglas Luiz leave, who was a captain. McGinn is being asked to play a ton, but he's being brought in and out between both competitions.
Both competitions, yeah.
Having Mings back, having him healthy, and he played in the Champions League and had that major gaffe. But now I bet you see every single week Mings starts and he will make a fucking difference to Villa.
They are going to have to limit him because physio does not want to have him break again.
Yeah, it was a bad fucking, I mean, it cost him a year and a half of his fucking career.
But you know, him and Buendia back felt really good.
Absolutely. It gives you options. Diego Carlos and Pau Torres have been great.
Torres has played every Prem game so far.
Yeah.
Every minute of every game for Villa this season so far.
Yeah, that's a lot of minutes. It's a lot.
Diego Carlos versus Pau Torres. I'm sorry, Diego Carlos or Tyrone Mings, I'd have to think about, right? That's how good Diego Carlos is. But Pau Torres versus Tyrone Mings, I know exactly who the fuck I want to play, and that's Tyrone Mings.
Yeah.
Use Pau in the Champions League and let Mings play the Premier League. I mean, and then you've got rotation.
Yeah, or as long as that Champions League game isn't against somebody good, yes. Because my point is, I think Pau Torres is far worse than Tyrone Mings. So when you come up against a Brentford away from home, traditionally not very good away from home, blah, 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 great game for Pau Torres. I think against Juventus, you want Tyrone Mings because they're better than Brentford. You know what I'm saying? But what it does do, exactly what you're saying, is garner rotation, rest, rehabilitation, and everybody can kind of move forward together. I thought this was Villa waking up.
Yeah.
Hey, Premier League, careful. We're still fucking here.
Hey, I said it on Monday. I still very firmly believe that they are one of the 4 best teams in the league. I think they are better than Chelsea. I think they are better than Tottenham. I think they're better than Brighton, Newcastle.
Don't spoil it. We'll come on to Tottenham soon.
but you know what? Chelsea are currently in second place because of the goal differential. I think Villa are better than Chelsea, even though they just lost to Chelsea. They're better.
Yeah. I think Chelsea's issue, just as a quick point, is that they're young.
Right.
There's going to be some inconsistency at some point. There's going to be a misfiring in front of goal that you can't explain. Something will happen where they drop points because they're young. That's their downfall at the moment. In 2 years' time, if Maresca stays on, I'd be fucking worried about him. I'll tell you that. For the Premier League title, I'd be very fucking careful.
And not for nothing with Chelsea. Chelsea, other than the year that Frank Lampard was the manager for Everton, Chelsea hasn't won at Goodison in 8 years. They've won once in 8 years. If there's going to be a slip up, it's going to be in 2 Saturdays from now when they go to Goodison. Like that screams for them to fuck up, especially a younger team. You know, they're not going to be necessarily prepared for it. Are the Cherries the Big Six bogey team?
Yeah, apparently.
Feels like they are.
Yes, it's so weird. I don't understand how they got so good at that very niche thing.
Like
We're amazing against the
fucking
best
got
people.
you.
Yeah, but we're mediocre or shit against everyone else. I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people, some players, some teams, it's common throughout history
Cherry
that
are
people raise their game. You know what I mean? They play up to their opponents.
Sorry, cutting you off there. Cherries are literally the eat the rich team of the Prem. Like that's what they
so weird.
It is it was a great win for them, you know. And again, Spursy just being Spursy at the highest fucking level of Spursy possible, man. Like you beat fucking City 4-0 convincingly. You piss off against Fulham and Bournemouth. What the hell?
It's and it's not even. I mean, Bournemouth with only a third of the ball managed 21 shots, 8 on target, 5 big chances created with an XG of 3.31 versus Spurs, who had 66% of the ball and expected goals of 0.58, 12 shots, 4 of those on target, 0 big chances created, and 0 big chances missed because they didn't fucking create any.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do with what you had? Fuck all. You couldn't grasp what was right in front of you. You had all of the offensive statistics were in your favor, except for the shit that matters: shots and shots on target. Pepper the goal. Try to get this guy off his game. Didn't do it. Try to move the defense around. They just didn't do it. They failed to pull the trigger. And you're never going to make any shots if you don't shoot.
And what's funny is this weekend they play Chelsea and watch them beat like Chelsea like 3-1 convincingly.
Right.
Because that's just what they'll do. It's what
because they're ridiculous. They're a joke of a team. I've said it on here so many times. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. I see it through my glasses that happen to be red tinted.
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
That skin's turning red. That skin's starting to, like, your shirt's bleeding into your skin there. It's getting all red over there.
It's an absolute joke. I mean, it's a joke. A joke.
A joke. I tell you, a joke. Finally, Brighton are dropping points at the wrong fucking time, man.
They had a very good starting position post international break to push on and solidify what would be a European place, and they are doing everything they can to fuck that up big time.
A young team,
especially to Fulham,
especially
to Fulham, though. But this is a team right around them that's vying for that same sort of area of the table,
right?
And they absolutely shipped them in this one. Alex Iwobi looking like a fucking world beater as Arsenal's B team beat out Brighton 3-1. I can take that as a win. Excuse me?
Man, fuck Alex Iwobi.
Nah, he's all right. We all learn and grow. He's all right.
Here's my thought, Sam, when it comes to Fulham. Maybe that 4-1 ass kicking to Wolves was a good thing, because that gave Marco Silva, because he's got a fairly veteran side, right? It gave him the opportunity to put the foot up their ass in the training ground and go, y'all need to play my fucking ball. Y'all need to do what I fucking say. This is how you need to fucking play. Because the last 2 games have been responses. Absolute responses. And right back in the thick of fucking Europe again. And I, like we said earlier, 5th to fucking 12th. It's 3 points apart. But it's got them hyper-focused. And I think it was the bad loss to a team that is in and around the relegation zone is exactly the motivation that Marco Silva needed to make sure the mature veteran players on his side listen to exactly what the fuck he is saying.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. By all angles, this was a perfect Fulham result. It was super important, as you say, for Marco Silva to stamp his authority on the dressing room and some of those players. And to show that, like, when Emil Smith Rowe came off, I thought Fulham were a bit more free.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a regular starter and a regular contributor up until the last 4 games, really. So to show him, like, hey, look, you may have come from the big boys, still have to earn your keep here.
Yeah, got to do your job.
I subbed you off. Your replacement has contributed directly 3 weeks in a row. Stop fucking around. It's kind of the perfect storm for Marco Silva in that sense, which motivates players as long as he plays it right. You know what I mean? And doesn't lose any of their attitudes. But it's a great win. I think Fulham are far better than people give them credit for, to be honest with you. I think they have a right to kick on and expect kind of at minimum McRib, but could push on for Europa League, to be honest.
I got to say, for me,
and a cup, maybe a cup.
I probably picked the wrong London team to pick as my dark horse because it probably should have been Fulham.
Your money.
I don't even know anymore.
I'm excited about yours. I am so excited about yours because your whole 5 leg of the Arsenal match fucking hit. Everything hit. Everything hit except for the one thing that should have obviously, absolutely didn't hit. What was it that missed, Sam?
So I had 5 legs on Arsenal. I had 2 other games, and then I had a third game, which gave me an 8 or 9 leg, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly.
9-way parlay.
I think it was exactly 9 legs.
Because you very specifically asked me to press that button.
Everything I had hit except for the league leaders drawing with the Northern cunts.
Not good gambling.
Their first drop points in, 9 games in all competitions?
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that. 10 games in all competitions. They hadn't dropped points, and they drew fucking Newcastle after coming from behind to take the goddamn lead.
Grammy folding.
I'll tell you what I'm doing, but I'll tell you in a minute. I'm down 1,300. Sam, what'd you do?
All right. Well, you know what? I took a swing. I missed. I really don't care. I told you it was plus 700 odds. So why not see if City would lose their 5th in a row? They did not. So, oh well. So I am still up $295.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
Did you know that 23.07692331% of the time, Mr. Graham, works 100% of the time?
Fuck you.
I just like seeing you be annoyed about it.
I am annoyed.
I don't know what annoys you more, the little funny number that I do or the fact that I'm up and you're down. Your silence says it all. This week, give me a 3-way parlay. I'm going to take Brighton, Villa, and Newcastle, all favorites, to beat Leicester, Southampton, and Brentford at plus 440.
I wish I could take odds that short.
Well, you know, when you actually hit bets, unlike you can do that.
But I can't take odds that short because I have some making up to do.
9-way parlay.
This segment is not called Shore Money anymore. It's called Definitely Chase Your Losses.
Risk it all, baby. I'm risking it all.
Yeah. And this is what I got going on. Like I said, I'm down 1,300. I've got Villa. This is going to be a multi-game parlay X. Villa over 2.5 goals. Ollie Watkins to score at any time in that game. Arsenal to win. Over 1.5 goals in that game. Liverpool to win, City to win, and Manchester United to win. To rebound on their Ruben manager bounce. That all garners me on a $100 bet. That gets me $1,587, $1,587 hairs.
Ooh, put you still behind me.
That's fine, but I'll be back in and amongst it, which is I can start picking plus 200 shit and catch you.
You won't be. You won't be. You know you won't be. It's okay. Well,
Listen, it's happening.
That's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Mr. Graham, any parting words?
Yeah, I'm checking out this ticket scheme here from Newcastle United.
Would it surprise you the people that own fucking what is it? The goddamn, why am I forgetting it? The ticket group in America that does
Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster. Thank you.
No,
Sorry.
Live Nation.
Yeah, they own
Live Nation is the Saudis. Yeah.
Yeah, they own Live Nation. Why would it not surprise us that the people that love to gouge people on ticket prices are gouging people on ticket prices?
Yeah, so Newcastle United owners set the price for members at a minimum £50 instead of the cheaper £47 minimum price when lesser opposition or less glamorous ties happen. To be honest, I don't know why they even have this £3 difference, as all matches sell out to members regardless. There shouldn't be that big of a deal. I ask this especially because Newcastle versus Wolves in the middle of January. It's on a Wednesday night. It's live on TV. It's against the team currently in the relegation zone. It comes at a time when everyone is skint after Christmas as well. This was all semi-quoted, pseudo-quoted from this article. Plus, we have another glamour home match only 3 days later on Saturday against Bournemouth because of where they are in the league. Newcastle United also have Bromley in the FA Cup on the weekend. They have Wolves as well. So 3 home matches in a week. If Newcastle beat Brentford, they could have a Carabao Cup semifinal first leg at St. James's Park on either 7th January or 8th of January. So you're talking about 4 home games in the span of 10 days, and they're taking away essentially the discount for a non-glamorous opponent to come to St. James Park. Yes, it's only £3, but £3 is a lot of fucking money when you have 60,000 seats.
Right.
That's not the point. Price gouging isn't necessarily the increase percentage-wise or the ceiling of price you're willing to pay for something. Price gouging is doing it because I can.
Right.
And that's what Newcastle seem to be doing, and it's pretty cunty.
It's those people are still going to be buying beers. They're still going to be spending money and getting pies at halftime. They're still going to be buying merch. They might still be hitting the gambling booth and making some bets, which, by the way, that the stadium takes a cut of that. Like,
of course they do, because that's the rent from them fucking being there.
Right. So all of those things come into play, and it just kind of makes me think of like the whole, tariff thing. And I don't want to get too bogged down on all of it because obviously it's a very divisive point. But if an imported pen suddenly becomes $1.30 instead of $1, the domestic pen isn't going to be $1. It's going to be $1.25.
Right.
And they still, what it ends up being is the rich continue to get richer. And you're doing it off of the backs of the working class. And particularly that fucking town, that fucking part of England, right? Like, why it's the North, but it is the exact equivalent of the South for us, right? Kind of where, they're the ones who own Brexit very adamantly, and yet they're also the ones that get fucked by the same people they vote for. And in this case, I know it's an ownership and it has different degrees, but still, it's like, you wanted to get into the game to whitewash your money. Don't then just start charging your fucking working class people an extra £3. And
when you are the richest people in the fucking world as well, when you have more money than fucking God, don't do that.
Because £3 next year becomes a £10 on top of every ticket.
You set the precedent. You set your own precedent, and that's just gonna become the normal. And you're operating. You chose to operate in a town that only has one club, that only has one fan base to compete. It's not like Liverpool, where If Liverpool want to charge £5 more, maybe Everton charge £2 more because of that, because they're, quote unquote lesser than
Right.
in terms of the success historically of the club. So they could charge a little bit less for being less glamorous, I guess, to use their own words back at them. And then Tranmere, decide to go, fuck, look at them. Instead of £3 a ticket, we're going to charge £10 a ticket. It's still cheaper than their 35 and £50 per ticket each. But we're making a 300% increase. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And people are still going to come here. Stop doing that kind of shit. Just stop being cunts.
Yeah. Pip,
Just stop being cunts.
You're getting the Women's World Cup amazingly, and you're getting the fucking Men's World Cup. Settle the fuck
down. Well, they're gonna and
settle the fuck down.
One more quick D-back is FIFA itself. How many times we have to D-back them? We have to do it again. But a report came out
in the Hall of Fame. They're the 1 seed for D-back.
Yeah. The other thing that they did recently was they investigated themselves and rated the bid of Saudi Arabia. They rated it a 4.2 out of 5 for their World Cup bid, in which they moved up the deadline for so nobody else could compete with Saudi Arabia, because they need the money from Saudi Arabia for this World Cup to pay for the Club World Cup that's happening next year in this country that they don't have the money to pay for.
Who all does Saudi Arabia go against for the World Cup bid?
No one.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. They rigged it so they could get the Saudi coin.
Yep.
That's the point. And what they did was they rated themselves a 4.2 out of 5. And then further down in that report, listed the risk for human rights violations as moderate or medium.
Moderate or medium. Yes. Yeah, that's right, Mel. You heard that right. Saudi Arabia, a moderate threat to civil rights and to human life. A moderate threat.
This was as it pertained to the World Cup bid. So migrant workers, women journalists in general, women, Western women working, so commentators, journalists, all those things, women, but journalists, all those things. Further down the report, it asked for promises that Saudi Arabia was willing to concede to receive a positive World Cup bid outcome. The number one thing that they promised was guaranteed human rights and protections for migrant workers. Great. Well done. That's a good thing. It was
good to say, but will they do it?
It was free press during the World Cup. So journalists weren't going to be stopped, followed, or tailed. Great, perfect, excellent. Want that. The third thing, Mel, which is why
murder journalists.
I was going to say, if you're a male journalist, get decapitated.
Can moment of silence for
just stop for a second. Because what I'm trying to say is those two promises seem pretty good. And they seem like things that should normally happen. And that's wonderful. The third promise they made, and this is where things took a bit of a turn. And it got a bit weird. The third promise on that list was, we will not torture. In and of itself is a weird sentence to say. We will not torture critics of this regime. So for that month, get your digs in, son. It's open season. It's open mic night. Fucking make it happen.
That's like a youth pastor saying, I won't sexually assault you if you don't dress sexy.
Like a youth pastor saying, let's play just the tip. That's what I'm talking about. Come on.
Absolutely terrible. All right. Next up is Injury Time. EFL show will be back next week, where we're going to preview the weekend's action. We got a big one to kick off the weekend. We're going to talk about our fantasy teams.
Yeah, there's some big updates on the head-to-head competition.
And we are going to talk about the beers we are drinking. Should somebody want to support our show, Mr. Graham, one more time, how do they go about doing it?
Well, you could support the show if you want to. That's great, and we love that. But you could avoid torture by signing up to patreon.com/DU Football Show and that one $5 tier. And we'll make sure that we don't torture you if you question this regime.
We are a regime.
There's a commercial tagline that I can't get out of my head. And by the way, if you want to gift a Patreon subscription, that is now an option.
Oh, that's fun.
So you can
that's cool.
Gift of the two Sams.
You can play Santa.
But
we are a gift.
The tagline I can't get out of my head is something like the perfect gift for the person that's been good in your life or the right kind of bad.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know what you get when you cross a snack parade?
Mm-hmm.
A gift.
No.
I am a snack. I'm hot.
I have to say that I think Randall Graves said it best when he said, I'm a firm believer in a ruling class, especially when I rule. Till next week, everybody.
Good night.